The millionaire humiliated her husband in front of everyone by pouring wine on him, not knowing that he signed their biggest contract. A glass of wine in the face. 500 guests. Cameras, you are not worthy to be in my elite circle. You smell like poverty. Valeria Caldwell, the CEO, who just signed an $800 million contract, shouts. Husband Hunter stands silently. He wipes his face and leaves. After 10 minutes, the transaction was cancelled. Order from the owner of the partner company. Valeria is shocked. He doesn't know. The owner is the same loser who was doused with wine. The architect of her success, secret billionaire. He built her empire in silence for 8 years. She destroyed it publicly in a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, I present the deal of the decade at $800 million. The presenter's voice boomed in the conference center hall. 500 guests gave a standing ovation. Cameras flashed. Journalists scribbled notes. Valeria Caldwell stood on stage, a victorious smile, her hand on a contract. 10 years of work have led to this moment. From a low-level manager to the CEO of the technology company Caldwell Systems, the company produced software for corporations. There are 300 clients, a turnover of $150 million a year. But a contract with Trident Corporation for $800 million changed everything. Access to the international market, expansion, fame. Valeria signed the document with a beautiful stroke, raised it above her head, and the applause was deafening. A Trident representative, a 50-year-old man in an expensive suit, shook her hand coldly. Formally, he said short words of congratulations and quickly left the stage. Valeria went down into the crowd, accepted congratulations. Investors, partners, employees hugged, praised, and offered champagne. She drank, laughed, enjoyed her triumph. Suddenly I saw Hunter. The husband stood at the edge of the hall, modestly. In an inexpensive gray suit, he looked ordinary. Not impressive. Not bright. Valeria was always ashamed of him at public events. Quiet. Unambitious. Worked as a consultant. Earned little. He lived, as it seemed, on her money. Hunter approached and smiled softly. Congratulations, Valeria. Great deal. I would be proud if anything, I would have interrupted sharply. If you could conclude one yourself. You can't. You never could. You stand on the sidelines and watch me build an empire. And you, consultant. Salary $5,000 a month. Pathetic. The voice was loud. Those around heard it, quieted down, and watched. Hunter turned pale, but his voice remained calm. I just wanted to congratulate. Share the joy. We have been husband and wife for 8 years. Isn't it natural? It would be natural if you were worthy. Valeria raised her voice even more. The crowd parted to form a circle. The cameras turned and filmed. But you are not worthy. Not worthy to stand next to me. Not worthy to be in my elite circle. She grabbed a glass of red wine from the table nearby and swung it. Hunter did not move. Looked calmly. Sadly, you smell of poverty and failure. Get out. She threw wine in her face. Splashes of red wine flew and covered his white shirt, his gray tie, and his face. Hunter closed his eyes and froze. The hall gasped collectively. The cameras clicked madly. The flashes were blinding. Valeria stood, the hand with the empty glass trembling with anger. Hunter opened his eyes slowly, took a handkerchief from his pocket, and wiped his face calmly, methodically. Then he looked at his wife for a long time. Sadly, he said quietly. But everyone heard in the ensuing silence. You made a choice, Valerie. Live with him. He turned around and walked towards the exit. The crowd parted silently. Hunter left the hall. The door closed silently. Valeria stood there, breathing hard, her heart pounding. The realization of what had happened came in waves. She poured wine on her husband in public. In front of hundreds of people, the cameras were removed. There will be a scandal, but anger drowned out common sense. He deserved it. Years of mediocrity, lack of ambition, living at her expense. Deserved to be humiliated. The guests looked at each other awkwardly. Some whispered. Some looked disapprovingly. Valeria raised her chin proudly. The show is over. Let's continue to celebrate. The music started again. Conversations resumed. But the atmosphere changed. Tense. Awkward. Valeria drank champagne. Smiled tightly, ignoring the looks. After 10 minutes, a Trident representative came on stage again. I took the cold voice microphone. The official one. Attention. Emergency announcement by Trident Corporation cancels contract with Caldwell Systems immediately. By order of the company owner. Sorry for the inconvenience. He quickly left the stage and disappeared. Backstage. The hall exploded with noise. Valeria froze, not believing her ears. $800 million are cancelled. Why? The contract is signed. Legal. Binding. I ran for the representative. He walked quickly to the exit. The guards nearby. Stop. Explain why you are cancelling. The contract has been signed. The representative stopped and turned around. The face is stony. The eyes are cold. Owner's order. Trident does not work with companies whose managers show disrespect. In public, farewell. Left. Security blocked Valeria's path. She stood there. The world was collapsing. $800 million disappeared in 10 minutes. The reason is disrespect. In public, there is no connection to the Hunter incident. He's nobody. Consultant. How can it influence the Trident's decision? She returned to the hall. The guests dispersed quickly. Avoiding glances, journalists surrounded and shouted questions. Miss Caldwell, why did Trident cancel the deal? Is this related to the incident with your husband? Comment. Give a comment. Valeria pushed the microphones away, broke through to the exit, and got into the limousine. The driver was silent and drove home. She looked out the window. Her thoughts chaotic. What's happened? Why did everything collapse instantly? The phone rang continuously. The board of directors, investors, partners, ignored. I didn't know what to say. 800 million lost. The company at risk. Reputation destroyed. I arrived home. The apartment was spacious, with a view of the city, and the furniture was expensive. I bought it with money from the company's shares 3 years ago. Hunter lived here too, but Valeria rarely noticed. She worked until late, came to bed, left early. Her husband was a shadow in his own house. Hunter wasn't there. He left after the incident and never returned. Valeria poured herself some whiskey, sat down on the sofa, and turned on the TV. The news has already shown the story. Scandal at the contract signing ceremony. The general director of Caldwell Systems poured wine on her husband in public. Trident Corporation cancels $800 million deal. They showed a video. Valeria screams, throws out wine. Hunter stands calmly, wipes his face, and leaves. Repeats several times. Commentators discuss, condemn, analyze. Valeria turned off the TV and threw the control remote. A disaster. A career on the brink. All because of a momentary outburst of anger. But Hunter provoked. He came up at the wrong moment and said something annoying. Whether he is guilty or not, An inner voice whispered doubts. He simply congratulated. Sincerely. And she doused him with wine and humiliated him in public, in front of the cameras. Forever. My husband of 8 years supported. Did not interfere. Did not criticize. And this gratitude is wine in the face. The phone rang again. Valeria's mother called from Europe and answered. Mother, Valeria saw the news. What have you done? The whole world is discussing. Shame on the family. Mom, not now. Tired? Tired? You humiliated your husband publicly. I lost 800 million and ruined my career. Because of what? He was annoying and came at the wrong time. Annoyed. Hunter is a kind man. He put up with you for 8 years. You worked for days. Ignored. Considered a loser. He was silent. Supportive. And this is a reaction, Mom. That's enough. I know what I'm doing. No, you don't know. Call him, apologize, make things right. Otherwise you will lose everything. I passed out. Valeria threw the phone on the sofa. Mother is right. But pride did not allow me to admit it. Apologize, never in front of Hunter. I went to late bed. My thoughts did not give me the rest. This morning I woke up to a call from the board of directors. Emergency meeting in an hour. They require an explanation. I went to the office. The 15 council members sat at the table with gloomy faces. Chairman Thompson spoke harshly. Miss Caldwell, yesterday's incident was a disaster. The company's shares fell 20%. Clients called demanding termination of contracts. The trader cancelled the deal. What do you say? I'll tell you. Personal life has nothing to do with business. The incident with my husband is my business. It concerns when it is filmed and shown to millions. The company's reputation is ruined. You are the CEO, the face of the company. Your behavior reflects on all of us. I will correct it. Apologize publicly. And restore the deal. It's impossible with a trader. They are categorical. A spoken said the owner's order is final. Then I'll find other partners. The company will survive, Thompson sighed. I hope we give it a week. If the situation doesn't improve, the board will vote to resign. Okay. It's clear. I left the office. Anger seething. A week to correct the disaster? How? Trident refuses to talk. The reputation is destroyed. The clients are leaving. We need to find Hunter and talk. Maybe he knows something about Trident. The consultant, after all, has connections. I called my mobile phone. Didn't answer. Wrote a message, we need to talk. Urgently, doesn't read. The day passed in chaos. Calls from clients. Partners. The press. Everyone demanded explanations. Apologies. Guarantees. Valeria answered automatically. Her thoughts were far away. In the evening I went home. Hunter was gone again. Disappeared after the incident. Where? With friends. At the hotel. I didn't even know the addresses of his friends, for 8 years of marriage. I didn't know my husband's social circle. I'm embarrassed to admit it. The week started from hell. The shares moved on, clients' contracts. The press wrote dirty articles. Caldwell. Tyrant at home and at work. Arrogance ruins careers. From shine to fall in a minute, Valeria searched desperately for Hunter. I called at work. The number is invalid. The consultant did not know which company. He spoke vaguely. She was not interested. It was a shame. Miss Caldwell. Comment about divorce. Husband filed documents. Journalists surrounded the entrance to the office. Cameras, microphones. Questions. Hail. 3 days have passed since the incident. The scandal did not subside, but grew. Valeria pushed the microphones, broke into the building. The security barely restrained the crowd. Went up to the office, closed the door, sat down at the table. Her head was pounding. Secretary Maria knocked and entered with a folder of documents. Ms. Caldwell. 3 more clients have cancelled their contracts. Losses amount to $15 million in 3 days. The board calls for an emergency meeting. Not now. Maria. Give me a break. I'm afraid there's no time. Thompson insists. In an hour in the conference room, Valeria nodded tiredly. Maria left. Opened her laptop. Checked social networks. The video of the incident received 5 million views in 3 days. The comments are cruel and judgmental. The arrogant bitch got what she deserved. I hope my husband gets a divorce and takes everything. Karma works quickly. I closed the page. Unable to bear it, the reputation is completely destroyed. Recovery will take years. If possible at all. The phone rang. A lawyer from Robert Gray answered. Robert, what happened? Valerie needs to meet. Urgently. Trident information. Important. What information? Not by phone. Come to the office in half an hour. Disconnected. Valeria frowned. Trident. Information. Reason for cancellation of the transaction. I went to see a lawyer immediately. I met Robert in the office with a serious face. He offered to sit down and poured some water. Valeria conducted an investigation. I was trying to understand why Trident cancelled the deal. Official reason. Disrespect in public. But dripped deeper. Trident. A subsidiary of the investment fund Black Holdings. The owner of the fund is unknown publicly. Operates through trust structures. What is this for? Moreover, the decision to cancel was personally ordered by the owner of Black Holdings. Not by Trident managers. Owner. Question. Why does the owner of a multi-billion-dollar fund interfere in one transaction? The answer is a personal reason. Personal? I don't know the owner of Black Holdings. Are you sure? Robert held out the folder. I dug for information. Black Holdings. Registered 10 years ago. Assets $2 billion. Invests in technology. Real estate. Startups. Your company has received funding for the last 8 years from shell companies associated with Black Holdings. Coincidence? Valeria opened the folder. Documents. Diagrams. Financial reports. Indeed. Several Caldwell Systems investors are linked to Black Holding through complex structures. What does it mean? So someone from Black Holding financed your career for 8 years. Secretly. Through shell companies. The question is who and why. Valeria was silent. Her thoughts were a whirlwind. 8 years of funding. Coincidence with years of marriage too. Hunter. Can't be. Hunter consultant earns $5,000 a month. Not the owner of a fund worth $2 billion. But an inner voice whispered doubts. Hunter has always been mysterious. He talked little about work. Disappeared to meetings. And returned late. Explained. Consultations. Clients. Valeria didn't check. Wasn't interested. She considered him a loser. Undeserving of attention. Robert can find out the name of the owner of Black Holdings. I tried. Their structure is perfectly closed. Trusts. Offshore companies. Dummy directors. But I found one trace and handed over a document. The trust that owns Black Holdings is registered in the name of Hunter Reed. Your husband. Valeria looked at the document. Not believing her eyes. Hunter Reed. The beneficiary of the trust fund. Owner of Black Holdings controls $2 billion in assets. This is a mistake. Hunter cannot be the owner. He's a consultant. Checked it 3 times. The document is genuine. Registered 12 years ago before your marriage. Hunter Reed created Black Holdings. Registered it as a trust. And acts through managers. He doesn't appear publicly. But hides the owner. Valeria melted. Her legs gave way. The husband, whom she considered a loser for 8 years, is the owner of a $2 billion empire. He secretly financed her career, organized a contract with Trident and cancelled it after public humiliation. Why was he silent? Why did he hide it? I don't know. Maybe he was testing you. Maybe he didn't want to be loved for money. But the fact is, he built your career. You destroyed it yourself by humiliating him. Valeria left the lawyer's office. The world turned upside down. I drove home automatically. My thoughts were chaotic. Hunter is rich. Not just rich. A billionaire. Controls an empire. And she screamed about poverty, failure, unworthiness. In front of the cameras. In front of the world, I arrived home. Hunter was gone again. Where is he? Where does he live? The consultant rented an apartment and spoke. Lies owns a mansion for sure. Where? I called Robert. Find Hunter's real address. Where he lives. Urgently. An hour later I received the address. A mansion in an elite area worth $20 million. Valeria drove immediately. Drove up to the gate. The territory is huge. The house is 3-story. The architecture is modern. The guards stopped at the gate. Your name is Valeria Caldwell, wife of Hunter Reed. The guard called inside. Got permission? And opened the gate. Valeria drove in. Parked at the entrance. Got out. Looked at the house. Not believing. Hunter lived here. 8 years of marriage. Didn't know. The door opened. Hunter stood on the threshold. Dressed simply. Jeans. A shirt. A calm face. But his eyes were cold. Valeria? I didn't expect the visit. I need to talk. Can I come in? He was silent for a second. Then nodded and let me in. The interior is luxurious. But discreet. The furniture is expensive. Art on the walls. Panoramic windows overlooking the city. Valeria looked stunned. Sit down. Hunter pointed to the sofa and sat down. He sat down opposite. Was silent. And waited. Hunter. The lawyer said, you are the owner of Black Holdings. Right? Is it true? Why was he silent for 8 years? Why did he hide it? I wanted to know if you would love me without money. I received the answer. I didn't like it. I despised her for 8 years. The words hit me. Valeria was silent. Shame washed over her like a wave. For 8 years I was a fool. Living with a billionaire without knowing. Valeria was sitting on the sofa. Her hands were shaking. Hunter stood at the window. His back to her. Looking at the city below. Not a fool. Blinded by ambition. She saw what she wanted to see. A loser living on your money. A convenient picture that made you feel superior. But why lie? He could have told the truth. Hunter turned. Looked coldly. Said that. I'm a billionaire. Love me for it. I wanted to be loved for a person. Not for a bank account. I pretended to be ordinary. A consultant. A modest salary. A quiet life. You showed your real face. Despised. Humiliated. Ignored. I endured it for 8 years. Hoping you would change. But it didn't change. It got worse. The finale at the consummation ceremony. Wine in the face. Cries of poverty. In front of the cameras. In front of the world, Valeria was crying. Quietly. The truth cut like a knife. For 8 years she humiliated her husband. Did not notice kindness. Patience. Support. Saw only non-success. Despised. Was proud of herself. You financed your career through black holdings, yes. 8 years. Investments. Contracts. Partners. Organized everything secretly. Wanted to see if you would become better with success. It didn't. It got worse. Arrogance grew with every million. She humiliated her employees, bullied her partners, and despised her husband. Last chance contract with Trident. Organized personally $0.800 million. Could change the company. Your life. I hoped you would thank you and instead appreciate the wine in person. Sorry. I didn't know. If I knew, I would love for money. Not for me. So I hid it. Checked. Didn't pass the test. They were silent for a long time. Valeria processed the truth. Hunter built her empire in silence. She publicly destroyed cruel justice. Now will you restore the contract and help the company? Hunter shook his head. No. Trident does not operate with arrogance. Black Holding does not invest in those who humiliate partners. Principles are more important than profits. You violated the main principle. Respect. There is no recovery. But I apologized and admitted the mistake. She apologized after she found out about the money, not sincerely. Out of profit. Previously, when I considered her poor, there were no apologies. She was silent, avoided, and ignored the indicator of true feelings. Valeria couldn't argue. Could she? For 3 days after the incident, she avoided Hunter. Only looked for her when her career collapsed. The benefit was not repentance. What do you want? Divorce. Money. Revenge. I don't want anything. I'll file a divorce. I don't need money. I'm not interested in revenge. I want you to understand the lesson. Respect is the basis of everything. Without it, money, fame, success, emptiness. You had everything. But you lost it in a minute. Not because of the competitor's economy, force majeure, or because of disrespect for your husband, employees, and partners. Arrogance kills faster than incompetence. He stood up, went to the table, took out a folder of documents, and handed it to Valeria. The prenuptial agreement was signed 12 years ago before marriage. Do you remember? Valeria took it, read it, and actually signed it. Hunter insisted. She agreed easily. She believed that she was protecting her money from her poor husband. Irony. According to the agreement, property acquired before marriage remains personal. Everything acquired in marriage is divided equally. But there is a point that he pointed out with his finger. If one of the spouses proves a financial contribution to the other's career through documents, the contribution is deducted from the common property. Valeria read the paragraph. The cold filled her. Hunter has invested millions into her career. There are documents. They will subtract it from the total property, leaving zero or minus. Everything is formally legal. The lawyers have checked it. You won't get anything in a divorce. The apartment where I lived was bought with my money before marriage. The car too. The company's shares or yours. But the company will collapse without Black Holdings funding. You'll be left with nothing. You are taking revenge. I'm not taking revenge. I show the consequences. I spent 8 years building your career, ending humiliation, hoping for change. I couldn't wait. I retreat. I take support. You yourself, as I always wanted. Without a loser nearby, you will achieve success now. Without a secret financier. Let's check. Valeria sat, tears flowing. The truth killed. Success was not hers. Hunter's. He created. She used. Took credit. Was proud. Now the support is gone. What remains is naked ambition. Is that enough? Hunter, give me a chance. I'll improve, I'll become better. I promise. Promises are cheap. Actions are expensive. I promised to be a good wife for 8 years. But I didn't. Now you promise to change. Why believe? Because I understood the lesson. It hurts. I'm ashamed. I don't want to lose you. You're not losing me. You're losing financial support, convenience, comfort. You never loved me. Admit it honestly. Valeria was silent for a long time. Honesty demanded recognition. She loved Hunter. No. She appreciated him. No. She needed him as a convenient background that would not interfere with her career. Love never. No. I didn't love you. Sorry. Thank you for your honesty. Just once. I'll file the divorce through lawyers. Sign the documents. We'll go our separate ways. End of story. I got up, opened the door. An invitation to leave. Valeria got up and walked towards the exit. She stopped at the threshold. Hunter. Last question. Why did you get married? If she didn't love you, why did you endure it for 8 years? Hunter looked sad. I loved it. Sincerely, I saw the potential. I thought love would help me open up. I was wrong. Love doesn't change people. Reveals who one really is. You opened up. Saw. Disappointed. I'm leaving. Closed the doors. Valeria stood on the porch of a mansion worth 20 million. Whom I didn't know. The world was completely collapsing. Ms. Caldwell. The board of directors has voted 13-2 to remove you from your position as CEO. Effective immediately. Thompson sat opposite. His face stony. A week has passed since the conversation with Hunter. A week of disaster. Shares fell by 50%. Clients left en masse. Partners broke contracts. The company is on the verge of bankruptcy. Valeria sat silently, without resisting. She expected. She deserved it. James Scollins, Chief Financial Officer, has been appointed interim director and will try to save the company. You are asked to leave your office today. You will take your personal belongings. Leave your corporate belongings, including your car, phone, laptop. It's clear? It's clear. She got up and left the office. The employees looked sympathetically. Some gloated. She went up to the office and collected her personal belongings, a photo of my parents, a gift pen, a notepad, the rest of the corporate stuff. I went out the back door, avoiding the press, got into a taxi and went to the apartment. But I remembered Hunter's apartment. Bought before marriage. The right to live there ended with the divorce. The documents arrived yesterday. I signed. The divorce was finalized within a week. Quickly, without disputes. Nothing to divide. Hunter took everything legally. I called my friend Sarah and asked to let me spend the night. Sarah agreed silently. A month passed in a fog. Valeria lived with Sarah and looked for work. Reputation destroyed. No one hired. CEO who humiliated her husband publicly. Lost the company in a week. Resume is so bad. I got a job as a manager in a medium-sized company. Salary $5,000 a month. And Ronya, Hunter consultant, earned so much. Now her salary is fair. She rented a small apartment. The area is working class. The contrast with the luxury of the past is huge. The furniture is cheap. You can see the wall of the neighboring house. But what she earned honestly. She worked hard, silently, did not be arrogant, did not criticize, did not humiliate, and learned humility. Colleagues were surprised. The former general director works as a manager and doesn't complain. Valeria explained simply. I deserved to fall. I'm learning to get up correctly. 6 months later, Caldwell Systems went bankrupt. James Collins did not save it. Black Holdings withdrew funding. Partners left. Clients disappeared. The company was sold piecemeal. Valeria's shares have become worthless. Valeria. Read the news. Did not cry. And waited. Hunter's company was in fact. He created. He destroyed. Rightly so. A year later I met Hunter by chance. Cafe in the center. Lunch was cheap. He was sitting by the window, reading a newspaper, drinking coffee. Valeria came in, saw, froze. Hunter looked up, recognized him, nodded politely, and approached timidly. Hunter, hi. Can I sit down? Can. She sat opposite. They were silent awkwardly. Hunter put down the newspaper and looked calmly. How are you? Heard. Are you working as a manager? Yes. Modestly. But honestly. I am learning to live in a new way. Without arrogance. Tactical ambitions. Difficult. But correct. Glad to hear progress. Hunter, may I ask why he destroyed the company? Employees suffered. Many lost their jobs. Hunter sighed. The company was built on lies. You appropriated the merits of others, humiliated your employees, and deceived your partners. The foundation is rotten. Destruction is inevitable. I sped up, withdrew support, allowed it to collapse. Employees found jobs and helped personally. The Black Holdings Foundation financed retraining and employment. They suffered less than if the company had been dragged on for years. Decaying. Helped the employees. But not me. Why? You didn't ask. You were silent for a year. Your pride got in the way. Right? It's a shame to ask a person who has been humiliated for 8 years to deserve suffering. Suffering is not the goal. The lesson is the goal. Do you understand the lesson? Valeria nodded. Respect is the basis. Without it, success is empty and temporary. Humiliating others. You humiliate yourself. Arrogance destroys faster than incompetence. For a year I lived modestly, worked honestly, treated people with respect. Life became poorer materially, richer spiritually. A paradox. Hunter smiled weakly. Not a paradox. Really, money comes and goes. Character remains. You change character. Okay. Continue. Hunter. We can start over. Not marriage. Friendship. I want to know the real you. Not a consultant. Not a billionaire. Human. Hunter was silent for a long time. Then shook his head. Sooner, maybe later. A year is not enough for transformation. Keep working on yourself. If in a few years you remain modest, respectful and honest, we'll talk. I'm not making promises. I'm leaving a chance. He got up, put the money on the table, and left. Valeria sat and looked out the window. A chance, not a promise, but hope. Enough to continue on your way. 3 years later, Valeria is standing in the office of a small company, looking at a team of 10 people. She is the founder and director. The company is small but honest, produces programs for small businesses. The income is modest but stable. 3 years of transformation. After meeting Hunter, she worked hard, studied and grew. Promotion to senior manager after a year. Experience. Connections. Respect from colleagues. Equit after 2 years. Opened my own company. Took out a loan. Took a risk. Hired employees and treated them with respect. Salaries. Fair conditions. Decent conditions. Warm atmosphere. The business grew slowly but surely. No scandals. No toxicity. No arrogance. Clients are satisfied. Employees are happy. Partners respect us. In the evening, Valeria sat in a modest office, checking reports. The phone rang. The number was unfamiliar. She answered, "Hello, Valeria. Hunter. Remember me?" My heart began to beat. "Of course I remember. How are you?" "Okay. I heard about your company. Congratulations. Honest business. Respect. Thank you. The teacher was good. I remembered the lessons. I'm glad I can offer a meeting to discuss cooperation. Black Holdings is looking for worthy partners. Your company is suitable." "Seriously? You're not kidding?" "Seriously, for 3 years I watched from afar. She has changed. She has become better. Modesty. Respect. Honesty. I appreciate it. I want to support it. Not as a husband, but as a business partner." Valeria cried quietly. "Grateful. I agree. Let's meet and discuss." "Thank you, Hunter, for the lesson, for the chance, for the faith. You deserve it. Continue on your way. See you soon." Disconnected, Valeria sat and looked at the phone, smiling through tears. Her 3 years of struggle, humility, growth. The chance has been received, not to return the past, but to create a better future. Lesson learned forever. Respect is the basis of everything. Without him, money, fame, success, temporary emptiness. With him is modesty, honesty, dignity, and eternal wealth. The story is that arrogance kills faster than incompetence. Valeria had everything: career, money, fame. But she lost it in a minute by publicly humiliating her husband. "I didn't know. My billionaire husband financed the success for 8 years secretly. Destroyed the empire he created." Showing the price of disrespect, Valeria fell to the bottom and spent 3 years learning humility, honesty, and respect. "I built a business. A new one. Modest, but worthy. I got a second chance. Not to return the past, to create a correct future. The lesson is tough but fair. Respect cannot be bought, but can be lost forever with one act."